What is up, everybody? I'm Elliott Delp. Today I'm going to be bringing you one of the cheapest LPVOs on the market today. So this is the Trybe optic. This is a $250 LPVO, and this was sent out by Optics Planet. I feel like it's important to give you guys a kind of a disclaimer of where this stuff comes from. Big shout out to Optics Planet for that. If you want to go check them out, you can go to takesomeoneoutdoors.com/links, and then there is an Optics Planet link. And if you decide you want to pick something up, you can use code DELP5 to save you a little bit of money. The initial reason Optics Planet provided this was for one of the cheapest rifles you could buy on the market, this PSA Blimp for 480 bucks. I already did a video on that one, so you should go check that out. PSA Blimp, 480 bucks, awesome deal. But this video is about the optic and what this brings to the table and why is it important and why do I think it's worth a look from you guys. Because ultimately, that's why I'm making this video, because I think you guys should consider it if you're in the market for a budget LPVO. Let's start it off by talking about the magnification and a little bit about this optic. So this is a 1:6 LPVO. It is a second focal plane optic. So if you're unfamiliar with optic systems, there's first focal plane and there's second focal plane. Essentially, the second focal plane is as you magnify and demagnify, your reticle stays the same. So if you have some sort of reticle that requires holdovers, the second focal plane optic will only work on a fixed magnification. So typically it is on the last power that the holdovers will be consistent with what the reticle specifies them as, okay? And I'll get into that later on this one. That's kind of the general gist of the second focal plane. And then the first focal plane is as you magnify, your reticle will grow and shrink, and it'll be consistent holdovers through all the different magnification. But with all that being said, this is a second focal plane optic. This has a 30mm tube, super common tube size. I have it mounted with some Aero Precision mounts. These were 80 bucks. You could get primary arms mounts for cheaper, like 50, 60 bucks. They work really well too. 30mm tube, like I said, super common. So you can find all kinds of stuff on there. You don't have to stick with that. This one does have an illuminated reticle right here, you know. Really nice when you're shooting in different lights. If you don't want the typical black reticle, you can illuminate it red, and it's easier to acquire, and it does good in sunlight. So it's super bright right now outside, as you can see probably. And we have it maxed out, and it has a really, really nice red illumination to it, and it looks really, really good. This one is an MOA. And you have your turrets up here, you know, very simple. They're capped turrets, and they have a half MOA adjustment. So, you know, pretty common stuff, nothing crazy. So the next thing I want to talk about as we talk about the optic, I feel, is the reticle. So the reticle is super important. It's one of the reasons why you pick a certain optic over another, I feel, in terms of LPVO, and can really make it or break it for me in terms of the actual type of reticle. So the reticle in this Trybe optic is a PCR1 reticle, and I'll pop it somewhere up here on screen, but you can see it has really nice holdovers, and you can get, you know, when you're shooting out the distance, you can look the reticle. I'm pretty sure like you can find these reticles on different types of shooting apps, Straylock, whatnot, and, you know, adjust your holdovers accordingly. Really good feature. I like to have a good, useful reticle in my optics. So that's kind of the gist of the LPVO. There's not a lot more to say about it. Now it's time to kind of talk about the different optics that are similar in comparison. Okay, so I do a ton of LPVO reviews. I have reviewed most LPVOs on the market, you know, Sosa, well now Trybe, Primary Arms, Vortex, oh gosh, Cameraman Hunter, can you think of anything else? Acufire, well, they're like super high end, but yeah. What about other budget ones? Come on, I've done Monstrum's super budget one. Oh gosh, can't think of anything else. I have a whole shelf full of them. Anyway, I get around in terms of the LPVOs. And this one I feel is very similar to kind of a Primary Arms Gen 3 version. So the Gen 3 Primary Arms runs about $289, where this one runs 250 bucks. So you save a little bit of money compared to the Primary Arms. I think the fit and finish is very similar. The Primary Arms weighs a little bit less. I think it's a few ounces less. And speaking of weight on this thing, I'll pop up the stat sheet but the weight I think is like right around 18 ounces. It's in the ballpark of LPVOs, just the primary arms weighs like I think an ounce less, not by much, but you save, you know, almost 50 bucks. Well, I guess almost 40 bucks in terms of price. Another one similar in terms of specs is a Crimson Trace, and that one's 320 bucks. So it's a lot more expensive, and it has pretty much the exact same specs. So those are both very similar optics in terms of like specs, you know, types, nice reticles, and the similar features of like the type of turrets you get. Those are two similar options, and this is cheaper than both. That's something to be said. So who is this for? This is for the person that's really looking to ball on the budget, doesn't want to dump a ton of money and wants to get a half decent LPVO for that, you know, close to medium range shooting. I mean, of course you can do longer shots, 400 yards on an LPVO. It's not me. I like to do that 200-300 yard is kind of like where I max the LPVO at. You can push it further. It's just 6 magnification kind of sucks. You can blow me up in the comment section about it. I don't really care about your opinions on that. So I think that's really going to wrap the video. Awesome optic. Big thank you to Optics Planet for sending the optic out. It really means a lot. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and check it out at takesomeoneoutdoors.com/links and use code DELP5. Peace.